Okay, we're gonna get started while you guys are doing this. Hey, so we're excited to have Dan back. We've had him before. I was just teasing him that this topic is just gonna make us all feel guilty on what we're not doing. But sometimes guilt is a good motivator, so I'm excited for this because it's actually on my mind lately with all the changes and everything. I gotta mix things up. I gotta have better habits. Mine particularly around time management. I'm pretty jumpy. I tend to go to a lot of different things. So we're excited to have Dan back with Wells Fargo. He's actually done a lot of loans for Lynn and I personally. Very thorough. I love the way he's into the numbers, explains things in such a way that you can actually get it. I remember one time when we were closing, I think we were doing like 9 refinances at once or whatever. You spent half of the closing leaning over the table, pointing at numbers and explaining everything. And this is because they're all a little different.
Yeah, barely, just enough to where you gotta.
It was awesome. So Dan is going to come up here and introduce himself and tell a little bit more about your background, Dan, and kind of what you talk about today, and then we'll just kind of rip into it. While you're doing that, I'm going to try and share the screen with your slide presentation. I lost that little clicker. Okay. So if anybody put it in their pocket, then bring it back. So you're going to have to either hit this or use this. Okay, awesome.
Sounds.
Hey,
I don't like the way I look.
Next.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I know there's a lot of things that you could be doing, but I think I'm really excited about what I want to talk about. I think it could be really helpful. Because what's great about this is it doesn't matter where you are. You start where you're at now and make small improvements, and you can see massive changes. And so, has anyone here read this book, Atomic Habits?
Yes.
What do you think?
Love it.
I need to readdress it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I have
But I
it
don't
for
know.
years, but it was good.
Okay.
We did it as a group.
And I have copies here. Anyone who wants, and I'll order more. So,
Awesome.
yeah, absolutely.
Very nice.
So before we do that, I wanted to take a few minutes and just kind of talk about the market and get your point of view. Maybe just if you were to sum up the market right now in one word, what would you say?
Opportunity. Yeah. There's
Opportunity.
opportunity.
I love that.
The interest rate just went up another 3/4 of a point today. So that's always scary, but I think it's actually a good thing because it will hopefully bring things down a little bit more for buyers to be able to get in, but it's kind of like going to be in the 80s because they are paying like ridiculous interest rates.
So what's your one word?
My one word, crazy.
Crazy. I'd say uncertainty with the consumers and I guess with the leads, yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else?
This is why I don't pay.
Yeah.
Against it.
So yeah, the Fed is meeting right now and raising it 0.75. Now that does not directly impact mortgage rates. What they're doing is they're trying to get inflation under control. So the Fed has 2 mandates: keep inflation in check, and keep unemployment low. And so how did we get into this mess? Why is inflation so bad? Any thoughts?
Shana told me not to say it.
Yeah.
I was playing it off.
Yeah.
Too much
Yeah.
money for COVID.
Yeah.
All the stimulus funds, there's too many dollars in the economy and the Fed is trying to suck that out.
Mhm.
Is it very effective though? I mean, this first slide, this is a headline from a year ago. We've been in this for a year.
Really?
This is from November 10th. US consumer prices jumped 6.2% in October, the biggest inflation surge in more than 30 years. What was the Fed's reaction at this time? Do you remember what the Fed was saying? Inflation is transitory and not worried. This is just pent up demand that's going to work through the system, right? It's easy to be critical looking back. It's always 2020. But here's a consumer price index showing month over month changes in inflation. And so this headline was from when inflation was 0.09% month over month. If you figure that annually, that's 11%. That's massive. And the Fed did not do anything until March. You see all of these.
It would correct itself and it didn't.
Yeah, the supply chain issues, but you see, it wasn't until March that they reacted. So it's a little frustrating because, I mean, they're driving the economy kind of like a car, and they're not looking out in front, they're just looking at the rear view mirror. And, they're slow to react, and then once they do react, they kind of overreact, which is what we find ourselves in right now. So, and I agree with the Fed, like we have to get inflation under control no matter what, but it's going to cause a lot of pain. People are going to be losing jobs. I know everyone's feeling it, especially in our industry. I don't know if there's an industry that's been impacted as much as ours has. On the mortgage side, there's a massive contraction. I was talking to Susan, last week, we had 16 people on our team at the beginning of the year. We're down to 7.
Wow.
And another one is his last day is this Friday, and he gave us a deal. It's closing in March, and I thanked him for it. He's down in St. George, and he said, I like how transparent it was. It's like, you're asking my third choice, Dan. But the other 2 declined it because they didn't think they were still going to be with us by March.
Oh, my gosh.
So it's not,
That's scary.
it is what it is. I mean, I'll say this too, before COVID, like there was too many loan officers to begin with. You don't want anyone to lose their jobs. But there was, I mean, once rates are hitting 2%, then it's, all hands on deck. But now that's gone, and it's back to like, we got to figure this out, adapt or die, right?
Yeah.
And I was
That's
telling-
exactly right. I mean, like the last time, those people that didn't move fast enough, that didn't start looking at, and I'm not just talking about jobs, I'm talking about personally, they didn't start looking at their bills, they didn't start looking at, okay, I don't need this Netflix, I don't need,
Mhm.
cable, I don't need. And like for us, we just stopped all spending once we realized what was happening, but I saw people still doing it.
Yeah,
Those was, some of those people lost their houses. I mean, you just gotta look at it and say, okay, this is what I need to do, and just be quick about it. But don't be scared,
right.
just be methodical about it.
Right, and when you're in control, like you can have confidence, you're the one, driving the bus, so to speak. Yeah, no, for sure.
Can I add, so the reason why I said opportunity too, is an opportunity for on every side, both sides, because if you think about it, like what Lynn was saying, like we have opportunity to adjust ourselves to grow differently, look at our own personal finances, look how we can change. And that's a positive, I think, well, depending on how you look at it, I think it's positive, for sure.
Because people actually need those that are staying positive, that have the optimistic personality styles, or that can help people through, because if people need others, and it's the retracting from other people and not talking and not being around them. So I agree that it puts a lot of opportunity for people like yourself, where you can help people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think
it's really good.
there's a lot of negativity with the market, right? But there are some people, like we have a client right now who has not talked to a realtor in over 2 years until this last week. And the pessimistic side was like, oh, sure, you wait till rates hit 7.
Yeah.
But in his way, the higher rates has been a good thing, because for the first time in years, he actually has a seat at the negotiating table. There are homes for sale.
Yeah.
Like anyone that you're talking to that's expecting, a market crash, a 20% correction or more, like talk to more people, because there are people out there that, like this client I'm thinking of, he bought his home 10 years ago, they've outgrown that home. The market's been so crazy, he has not looked into it, and now he's gone to 3 open houses. There was a home up in Cottonwood Heights, in between Big Cottonwood and Little Cottonwood, just like this great little place. They've been on the market already for 7 days. They've done an open house, they have time to think, I mean, and then it's just going through the options, like, yeah, the payment's gonna be really high, the rate's gonna be really high, but. So the Mortgage Bankers Association last week came out with their projections for 23 for next year, and they're thinking mortgage rates are gonna be down to 5%. Okay, what would that do for the market, do you think? I mean, no one knows, because they weren't saying we're gonna hit 7% this year, so take it with a grain of salt, but if rates were to get down to 5%, what would that do for the market, do you think?
People who were priced out of it can now get back in because they can afford the home. So we had a person who was qualified for 400,000, the rates went up 7%, they were qualified for the 340. The $60,000 difference, the interest rates come on that, they're back in the market again.
They're back in.
You know, it's all relative too, because when the rates went up to 5, people are losing their minds. And now now that we saw a different world and they come down to 5, it's like, oh, wow,
It's-
5 is awesome.
It's
Totally.
100%. I felt silly bragging to, I was talking to a client, he's helping his daughter buy a home and we locked him in at 6.5. Oh, wow, that's so great. Like I never thought I'd be bragging about getting someone to 6.5. But yeah, no, so opportunity. So people that are looking now, they get their home now. And then when rates drop, instead of jumping back in the market with everyone else, they already have their home. Now they just refinance. Okay.
Yeah.
So there really is opportunity, but people have to. There are savvy customers out there. There are people in your book of business that understand this. I was talking to Jeff just a minute ago, I think the temptation right now in a down market is to what? Just lay low, take it easy, right?
Yeah.
Whether you make 5 calls or 50 calls, your results at the end of the day are probably going to be the same. Why is that a dangerous mindset?
Because it traps you, it gets you back into that negativity cycle. It keeps you from progressing, like back again in 2008, 2010, you saw agents stop working completely, but the ones that pushed through were the ones that are, now still your top agents. Because they just needed to just hang in there and just keep going, just like nothing happened.
Yeah. Easier said than done, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. So how that ties into this book. So Atomic Habits. It really is just about making small changes. Sometimes when we have goals, we set like massive changes, right? Like I'm not gonna eat after I eat dinner at night. That's a big one for me. The kids are asleep, like, all right, let's break out the whatever. Yeah. I'm gonna drink more water. I'm gonna exercise every day, right? The main point here is that it is not about massive changes. It's about sustainable, small changes that compound over time. I love compound interest. I'm a lender. Like this, I love numbers. But it's interesting. You probably heard of this, but I was talking to my 6-year-old about this. Would you rather have $1 million today or 1 cent that doubled every 30 days?
1 cent that doubled every 30 days.
So my 6-year-old said, I think I want the $1 million, but I feel like this is a trick.
Smart kids.
So we pull out the paper, we're writing down the day and the amount. I pull out my calculator, times 2 equals. And like even on like day 20, it's only like $10,000. But yeah, day 30, it's 5.3 million. So it's all about making small progress, trackable, keeping with it, it's sustainable, and then building from there. He also talks about like whether you're successful or not as successful as you want to be, what matters is where you're at now and building from there. Don't compare yourself against others, compare yourself to your former self, right? And he gives an example. If you're flying from LA to New York and you shift the nose of the plane just 7.5 feet, you end up in Washington, DC, 225 miles away from New York. So we can have little small habits of like, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's not going to make that big of a difference. And it's easy to slide into these bad habits that over time compound, and then you find yourself in trouble. Any comments?
I love that.
Yeah.
Compare yourself to yourself. I
That's it.
love that.
That's it.
I related to piloting a boat. I grew up on the ocean. And if you're out away from land, you don't have anything but your compass to go by. And so you're hoping that your compass is calibrated to true north. So that when you're driving the boat, the waves and the wind are going to keep you moving this way and that. So you're constantly doing a course correction to stay on course. And so when you're working on habits, you're gonna deviate from what you had planned. But always know that by tacking back to true north, you're gonna still moving forward, have success.
I love that.
That's cool.
That's a great example because it's not linear. We think, we're gonna progress like this, and it's not. And you don't have to win all the time. You're gonna have bad days. The point is not having a bad second day, like get back on track.
And with the going from LA to New York, you're not traveling in linear anyway.
Mhm,
You're in a parabola.
mhm.
Because of the curvature of the earth, you're actually going up a little bit through Canada and then coming back down.
Hmm.
Because it just doesn't work. I mean, you can draw a straight line, but that's not how you're gonna fly.
Yeah.
You gotta deal with the course that's in front of you, the obstacles that are there. Many times there's a huge amount of chaos in front of you, that just means something great is coming. And you can adjust that chaos and then determine your success.
Oh, that's good, Mark.
I think that's it. I think, that's it. That's a high note. Yeah. That was, thank you.
Brilliant.
That was brilliant. I'm gonna skip to these next few slides because really, that was so much better. Imagine an airplane or a boat. This goes right along. So a quick example that he shares is imagine yourself in a really cold room. It's 25 degrees and you have an ice cube on the table. You want that ice cube to melt. What do you have to do temperature wise to get that to melt? Get up to 32 degrees. Okay, so you warm up the room and you get to 31 and you say like, I've done all this work, it's just not working out, I'm just done. Nothing happens with that ice cube, right? You're so close. If you can push through and break through that plateau, that's where the progress is. Like we think it's going to be linear, but really it's flat line, it's up and down, whatnot. You keep at it, and then at the end is where you see that progress hit. Are we good, Susan? Do we need any?
Are you,
No, just go ahead.
I'm gonna get you the Cobb salad.
Okay,
But tell me the dressing you want, the avocado.
sure.
She knows.
Something else, that's good.
All right,
I'm just gonna step out and go order and then I'll be back.
thank you.
Thank you.
So how can we push through? Like, is there a trick? Like, Jeff, you're in really good shape, not to put you on the spot, but like, how do you stay in shape? How do you keep with it? Are you, how do you hit your fitness goals?
Just try and stay active and move, so I try and hit the gym or in my basement, just have weights in my basement 4 days a week.
Mhm.
That's just my goal. And I'm not really super intense either. It's just I try to be consistent.
Mhm.
Just consistently go down there, get the blood flowing, get the heart rate up a little bit, and I'm good. Start my day off better.
Yeah, no, I love that. So he talks about how to push through that is to basically, you don't really have to focus so much on the goal, focus more on the system. If you focus just on the goal, I mean, think about it, like it says here, like every Olympian wants to win the gold medal. That's their goal. Only one's going to do that. So it can't be just the goal itself that separates this. It's the system that we have in place to reach it. Like you do it, you feel better, it's become who you are, you identify as that, that's what you do. And sometimes people will work on like a particular event, like they want to run a marathon and they're going to train, they're going to bust it for 4 months, 6 months, be the best, shape of their life, run a great marathon, have a PR, and then what happens after the marathon?
We gained 30 pounds.
You go back, right? So it can't be just about like a one-time thing, like it has to be part of who you are. I wanted to read this one part from the book.
Just going to see if anyone has any questions or anything. Oh.
Yeah, if you guys want to chime in, if you have any questions or comments along the way, like we've been doing here in the room, feel free to unmute yourself and just jump in.
Yeah.
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 You're talking about, you can achieve the goal, and you'll fall back after you achieve it if you don't have a system in place.
I've also heard the concept that if you don't have another goal after it,
Mhm,
you may stall and not even achieve it.
mhm,
Because what are you gonna do next?
mhm.
If your whole life is about achieving the goal,
Yeah.
just getting to it, and there's nothing after that, then there's no. Emotionally, you're going to want to have
Yeah.
something to achieve, so you've got to set another goal beyond that,
Yeah,
and then you can achieve that.
I like that. It says here. Yeah, the race is no longer there to motivate you. When all of your hard work is focused on a particular goal, what is left to push you forward after you achieve it? That's why many people find themselves reverting back to their old habits after accomplishing the goal. So it says here, the purpose of setting the goal is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. The true long-term thinking is goal-less thinking. It's not about any single accomplishment. It's about the cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvement. Ultimately, it's the commitment to the process that will determine your progress. And the last part that I wanted to share, it says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And I agree with that. Like, if you're having trouble changing your habits, the problem isn't necessarily you, it's the systems that you have in place. Bad habits will repeat themselves. You fall back into that because that was like that's just like what you know. So you really have to like enjoy the process. You work out because you feel better. Like that's become a part of who you are. It's not work, right? It's like, it's what you do.
Yeah, I feel worse when I don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So why is it so hard to change old habits?
I don't know if that's a habit, but.
Well, he's been doing it since childhood. It's always like the most like inopportune times. It's just not good. Why is it so hard to change old habits? Yes. Yes. When we'll get into that in just a little bit, but that's exactly right.
But it's also because the brain's trying to find ways to insert effort.
Yep. Yeah. I want to bring up this example. Let's say you're a smoker and you're going to quit and you've been doing really well for a few weeks. Someone offers you, could be like a coworker that's, you always do it. And you respond back, no, thanks, I'm trying to quit. Or you respond back, oh, no, thanks, I'm not a smoker. What's the difference in that mindset?
World.
Yeah.
How you
One's
identify
finite.
yourself.
One's a final. Mhm.
Your identity is changing. So he ties in when the habits become a part of who we are, our identity, that is the ultimate form of motivation. And he digs into this and it's really good. I wanted to read a few parts. Says most people don't even consider identity change when they set to improve. They just think, I want to be skinny, so I'm going to stick to this diet and then I'll be skinny. You set goals to determine the actions you should take to achieve the goals without considering the beliefs that drive the action. You never shift the way you look at yourself, and you don't realize that your old identity can sabotage your new plans for change. Behind every set of actions is a set of beliefs. Do these quotes sound familiar? I'm terrible at directions. I'm not a morning person. I'm no good at technology. I'm an introvert. I would never present in front of people. That's not my style. That's not who I am. Right?
Reinforcing.
You're just reinforcing it. Says here, behavior that is incongruent with the self will not last. For example, you may want more money, but if you identify as someone who likes to consume rather than create, you're going to have problems. If you want to be more healthy, but you prioritize, relaxation over accomplishment, you're not gonna stick with it. Like the motivation, you can be really motivated at the beginning, but what's gonna carry you through? What's gonna keep you along that path? Like it has to be, and this is not easy, and this is not fast. This is slow, this is methodical. Small changes day by day. Not to get too like into the psychology of it, but especially chapter 2 of this book, I want you guys to read it and read it and read it again. How you become you. Your identity emerges out of your habits. You are not born with preset beliefs. Every belief is learned and conditioned through experience. And what's the beauty in that?
You can change it.
You can change it. Okay, and it's so easy to fall back into those mental groups. You know, I don't present in front of people. I'm nervous. I'm an introvert. I would never do this. And
Got some of your
Here I-
self-talk before, huh?
that's
Old self-talk.
the old self-talk. I mean, now look at me.
Like-
Does speak, who overcame the natural tendency not to.
Yeah, I almost feel like introvert, that was like created to make shy people be like comfortable.
Yeah.
I think so too.
That's
You just do it. Gets better as you do it.
Yeah, you're so introverted, Jeff. No, you're not. You're so not.
Kitty's not an introvert either.
I guess I.
She's like, Jeff isn't, and no one would think you are either.
I'm an extrovert introvert.
Yeah.
No, introvert does not have to do with shy or outgoing. Introvert has to do with how to refresh your energy.
Oh, yeah.
And you refresh, if you're an introvert, you refresh your energy on your own. If you're an extrovert, you refresh your energy around people.
From others.
Yeah.
So these two, my sister and I, when I'm exhausted, I want to be by myself and me alone. I'll refresh my energy on my own radio, but I never want to be alone. No.
Yeah.
She'll boost your energy that way.
Okay, I'm 100% introvert then, like,
That's.
Yeah, 100%.
Find it.
Yeah.
Darren wants to go out to the event and be all alone with no one, no cell phone.
off the grid, that is
Yeah.
my happy place.
You might bump into me out there.
Exception, and there's no one around but other animals.
Yeah.
And I'd be completely happy for 4 days all on my own, not have to talk to anybody.
You know, you can also tell in some of your activities too, because like Lynn and I are complete opposite. She has to go to Orange Theory. She has to go to the treehouse. She has to do group things. She has to be around people and selfishly steal their energy. I have to go in the basement and be by myself without anybody there. The thought of going to the gym to work out just like is not exciting.
It's the people though that I'm around. It's
Exactly.
not, if I'm at 10 or 11 or 12 in the day, where it's not a bunch of self-motivated 5 o'clock people. Like the people that I work out with are usually entrepreneurs. They're in their, hustling in their workout in, they're not gibba-gabbing and their heads down and they're listening to podcasts. Those are my people. And I do get energy from that.
Yeah.
But I don't get energy from everyone that's, dressed up really cute with their earrings in at the gym.
And they're doing a video of themselves.
I tend to. That's not a good energy for me.
Thank you. And that's spot on.
That's awesome.
So yeah, gradual change, bit by bit, day by day, habit by habit. We're continually, yeah, go ahead.
Well, the thing I want to share with this, because I actually just refreshed and started listening to this on Audible just a few weeks ago. And something that was really helping with this chapter for me is it's like something that Lynn has said to me for a long time. She's like, I dress as if I'm going to see $1 million client. Like that's how she dresses herself on the day, and it motivates her to dress. Where if she were to have $1 million client walk through the door, she'd feel good about herself, because that does a lot for people too, is when they feel good. But the comparison in this book that I resonated really well with was like biting your nails, because I've always been a nail biter, and it's been one of those habits. I don't know where it was learned or whatever, but it's always just been that way. But then when you identify yourself as an agent, like who would you want to walk around with an agent that has like these nasty nails? I don't know. And I yourself, like, what kind of like clients do I want to attract and type of a thing, and you think of like your appearance too. I don't know, it's just kind of an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's like how you identify yourself, I don't know. And
When you
like,
take pride in your nails, the appearance of them, like you will,
it's so little, but it helped me so much because it's something I've just always done.
yeah.
Well, I know.
Stop biting your nails.
I completely stopped biting my nails, well, maybe it was like a month ago, not a couple weeks, but
Congratulations.
very interesting.
That's you.
Yeah, thank you, it's been a lifelong habit, so.
Yeah, it's saying kind of what she's saying as, there was a time where when we were at Keller Williams, I remember there was a lady that really didn't dress. I mean, she just dressed like she was maybe at home, didn't really do her hair, didn't just dress like most of my friends up in Idaho, I guess I want to say. Just really casual and big baggy sweatshirts, jeans. She was a top producer and I saw her out showing houses and her clients were very, very happy. It didn't matter,
Mhm.
you know, so we all just have our own hangups and things that we think is appropriate for
But
what
it's
we
like
are.
you think of yourself and then that motivates you to do.
Mhm.
That's the most.
What do you want to portray?
Yeah.
Can I share something? I had a gal I used to work with who was a top producer and she talked about the things that she would do to charge herself. And it's different for everybody. She had like her favorite type of coffee, her favorite like clothes that always made her feel good. And on those days when she knew that she was going to go out and do a lot of marketing, she was like, this is my process and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I have that cup of coffee. I'm going to make sure I have that outfit nice and clean. I'm going to listen to this kind of music, whatever it is on your podcast, you know, your iTunes or whatever. And it just was like that game day, pump up, get going, and it's what built her.
It's like you're.
High positive energy for quadrants, so that's even professional athletes, big athletes, that's what they go out and do, they put themselves in high positive energy. So that they can be the best they can be.
It's like the rituals from ninja sewing.
Yeah.
Love ninja.
Yeah, that's where I got it from.
And then other people are attracted to that energy that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
Instead of repelled, right?
And you do, I mean, a man dressed in a suit versus a man in t-shirt and jeans is definitely gonna feel different, you know,
To
there's
different
just a
people.
different, yeah, for different people. Some people will be turned off by that and feel like they're inferior. And some people will be like, I only work with a man in a suit, you know, or I only work with a woman in a suit.
I
So-
think it affects, well, and I think my point I was trying to get at is like. When Lynn says that girl dressed that way, it's just how you carry yourself. So if she dressed that way, that's totally fine, but if she's comfortable with that and that's what she identifies with. And she holds herself high to being that way, I think that's like.
And her
the
clients are
difference.
fine with
Yeah.
that.
It's a confidence thing though. The way she describes dressing for the $1 million client or whatever, it makes her more confident. Not that the person would think anything
Yes.
different or whatever, but when you feel more confident, you act a different way, you project differently. I'm quite confident in flip flop. Do not need shoes.
I love that you don't need shoes, and he's never in shoes.
Well, if you watch John Maxim, he does very, very well, and he's in flip flops and all of his,
Mm-hmm.
in all of his flips. He even falls off rafters in flip flops.
Yes.
Because he's wearing flip-flops.
Yeah,
What's that?
Steve Jobs, you were the
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Well, Susan shared, we were at lunch yesterday and she shared, and she used to be working in Moab. And if someone would come in, you know, from the bank with a tie on, they knew they're either from Salt Lake or they just like come back from a funeral. It's just- That's how it was, like, you're just,
Out of the ordinary.
yeah, so it's totally about what you're comfortable with. So, I wanted to. I know this is a little cheesy, but I just really like it. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single event or instance is going to transform you, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner, right? It's not to read a book, it's to become a reader. Each habit teaches you to trust yourself. You start to believe you can actually accomplish these things. And when the votes mount up and the evidence begins to change, the story you tell yourself will change. So who do you want to be? take time and really consider the type of person that you want to be. And then prove it to yourself with small wins. You know, you want to be your client's realtor for life. And it's not just a slogan. What is the type of person, who is that type of a person that is the realtor for life? You know, how involved are you in the client's life? Do you know when their kids' birthdays are? I was talking to a realtor, she sends a $2 bill in the mail to her clients' kids on their birthday.
Cute.
It's such a great touch in, they love it, it's, you know, it's unique. I was at a closing when I met the realtor and the client mentioned like this was his third closing with her, like without fail, they get that crisp $2 bill on their birthday. I think, you know.
That's okay, we take $2 bills with us, because that's what we tip with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we get better service that way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They remember who we are.
Yeah. And so like this realtor, like, you know, she doesn't just, oh, I'm gonna do this because I'm a nice person. Like she has a system in place to remember, like, you know, I'm sure she's very organized and has the stuff down. Like there's things that we can do to really become, you know, the realtor for life for your clients. Okay, and you were talking about this a little bit earlier. So our brain is a prediction machine. We are inundated with so much information, and our brains are miraculous, and we sort through and we find out the pertinent information. We remember it, even if it's not conscious, and we remember that for the next time. You know, you can think of any time you learn a new skill, or you like get a table from IKEA and you're going to build it. Like that first time is rough, right? If you're going to do it again right after that, you would probably do it way better in like half the time. So our brains are constantly looking for more efficient ways to work, to get through this stuff. And that makes us, I mean, that's just how it works. This is how habits form. The good thing with that is obviously it makes us more, you know, efficient. The negative part of that is if we're doing what you consider like a bad habit, pretty soon it's just automatic and you don't even think about it and you may not even be aware of it. So are there any like apologize reformers out there like me? Like before you ask a question, you say, I'm sorry.
I am
Okay.
100%
Yeah.
every time. Oh,
It's-
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But
Yep.
I just like it.
I don't.
It's not good. My manager's like, don't say that. Don't ever say that.
Yeah, or well, like literally, my husband, every single time I say, you know, he'll say something to me, and I'll go, well, he goes, you can't stop saying that. And I got that from my mom. Well, what do you do? You know? So,
Oh, Jeff says I say but all the time.
but
Yeah, like, but this won't work or.
You can say and instead of but, because but negates what was said. You say
Yes, Mark, yes. Thank you.
I noticed that.
no buts. No buts in
That
your
makes
email.
me think of preparing for this. I recorded myself. Oh my gosh, if you ever want to be humbled, like record yourself. Like, you know, I said, you know, like 30 times and I said, I'm not gonna count. This is horrific. We don't know because it's habit. We do that all the time. And, you know, some people, they cover their mouth when they laugh. They never, it's just automatic. So the first step to changing some habits is to know what it is you're doing. So he talks about taking, what does he call it? A habit scorecard. This can be tedious and takes time, but you basically write down, like you go through your day and you write down everything you do, every single thing that you do. And then you go, and not judgmental, just like you're just, you know, taking inventory. And then next to each one, you can put like a positive sign if it's a good habit, negative sign if it's a bad habit, equal sign if it's neutral, whatever. And then you can go through and see like, oh, yeah, I'm noticing, you know, there's things here that I wasn't aware of before. Habit, he talks about a habit loop. So there's 4 main things here. Cue, craving, response, and reward. And so this is, you know, for example, a cue, you hit a stumbling block, something's frustrating. It could be at work or something else. So craving, you feel stuck and you want to relieve that frustration. Your response, I'm going to pull out my phone and check social media. The reward, you satisfy your craving to feel relieved. But now checking social media becomes associated with feeling stalled at work. And every time it's like, every time anything comes up,
I
that,
don't care. Not like-
Can I take a picture of that?
yeah, for sure.
Some,
me-
I was hearing that some people get like an endorphin rush when they check social media, and that's why they do it.
Dopamine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hate
And
it.
so like you get frustrated, so you need a little rush from something else because, and I've seen myself do that. And I'm like, no, what am I doing? Like,
Mhm.
I have this project and then I'm looking down at something, I'm like,
Yeah.
why?
why? I
Totally
know.
distracts you.
I'm cold. I'm pulling it out. It's like we can't spend like 10 seconds of just like
I can pause.
Yeah.
being, just being.
The introverts can,
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah, extroverts can. Good.
Yeah, so awareness, I love this quote. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. How much time we got? Oh, we gotta get that food here and wrap this up. I'll go through a little quicker on this. And then again, anyone who wants a free copy, I'll get this to you. I only have 4 here, but I'll order more and get them to you. But this stuff is so good. So we'll cover this pretty quick. So how to create good habits, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. So make it obvious. He gives an example. Some researchers were trying to see like how can they get people to have better habits, better exercising habits. So they have 3 groups. The first group is just the control group. The second group had motivating material, whatever, and let's assume it was actually effective, not like made it worse. And then they just asked to like just track the exercise that you do. And the third group was just asked to make a specific plan, when, where, and what. And so that first group, the control group, it was like 35% exercise at least once a week. The next group that had a motivating material did it 38%, so very minor change. And those where they made a plan, 91%. So if your goal, for example, is I'm gonna drink more water, okay, I will drink 8 ounces of water in the kitchen every morning. That's what I'm gonna do, and you, like, this happens with voters, like people are always saying like, oh, you're gonna vote, okay, great, what's your plan? When are you gonna go? What polling station are you gonna go to? When people can make that, like they actually think through it, they're much more likely to actually follow through with it. Habit stack, this is my favorite one because it's so easy. Pair a new habit with a current habit. Every time when I turn my laptop on in the morning, well, because it takes a minute or 2 to boot up, I fill up my water bottle. Easy. And when it's there, I drink it all day long. The last one, behavior is a function of the person in their environment. I could spend an hour on this one. This one is so good, but long story short, you are a product of the environment that you're in. You may think like, oh, I'm making all of these choices. It really is the environment that you're in. If you're trying to quit a habit, but you're surrounded by it, it's in your environment, willpower alone is not going to get you there. The people that have like the strongest willpower, you find out they don't put themselves in those positions where it is even a temptation. So you want to drink more water? Put water bottles all over the house. I do that with my boys. They drink way more. When you just do one, they drop it and it's over. Any questions on that? Oh. There was a meme, I tried to recreate this meme and that made me laugh. It's a little morbid, but this is a picture of the 2-month-old fruit in your fridge, looking at you as you pass by it and grab a bag of chips from the pantry. It is creepy. I'm gonna change my avocados.
I hate how fast they go right.
You know, you buy fruit and what do? You put it in the crisper in the fridge and you forget about it.
Unless you have a 5-year-old that is addicted to strawberries.
Okay. Then you gotta plant some strawberries.
I do, well, we did actually, just for her to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so have a display bowl. Put your fruit in there, right? When it's there, and it gives an example of like it was like at a hospital, they wanted their employees to drink more water, and so they just had water stations all over, and people drink more water. Disneyland did that. They, instead of, like having the meal come with fries or whatever, it automatically comes with fruit, unless the customer specifically asks for that, and they're eat much more healthy in Disneyland. Thank you. Anyway, so,
Yeah, no, yeah, we just
Yeah.
came back from Disneyland,
oh yeah,
and they did that, just last
They
night,
thought
didn't even think about that. They didn't even ask for fries, they just give you fruit.
And they gave us free water
Yeah,
too, which
free
was
water.
Do they?
really awesome.
that's awesome. Yeah. So the second one is make it attractive. So habits are a dopamine driven feedback loop. When dopamine rises, so does our motivation to act. And what's interesting is it's not like doing the habit isn't actually when your dopamine spikes, it's the anticipation, it's before it happens. So like they've measured this with like people who do cocaine, it's when they see it, it's when their dopamine hits. It's so there was a quote I wanted to read if I can remember this. Yeah, dopamine is released not only when you experience pleasure, but when you anticipate it. Gambling addicts have a dopamine spike right before they place a bet, not after they win. Cocaine addicts get a surge of dopamine when they see the power, not after they take it. Whenever you predict that an opportunity will be rewarding, your levels of dopamine spike in anticipation. And whenever dopamine rises, so does your motivation to act. It's the anticipation of reward, not the fulfillment of it, that gets us to take action. So make it attractive. Whatever you're looking to do, pair it with something. So let's say, okay, before you love to watch the show. Before I watch the show, I'm gonna do 10 push-ups. Or you love to check Facebook or whatever. Okay, before I do that, I'm gonna do 10 sit-ups and then I'll do it. Like that, just make that like a habit. Before I do this thing I want to do, I'm gonna quickly knock out this quick, whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah.
I was struggling with that, I haven't had no fun, attractive, anything with it. And I kept looking at ways to try to make it work better for me and wasn't finding anything. And a coach suggested, well, get a gamification habit tracker app.
What?
Gamification. Because people will play video games because they get to achieve whatever little triggers there are inside the game. So you get a habit tracker app that gives you points or a little buzz or whatever. It's amazing, just that little tiny little thing. And I do that habit every day.
What is the habit?
Tracking my mileage every night.
Okay.
There's nothing fun or attractive about that. It's just.
There's an
it's
app
good
for that.
Purposes of it.
I don't know. You still have to tell it where you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still had to get it and do it, and I wouldn't do it, so she gave me one.
That's
Yeah,
good.
buy it.
Good idea.
There you go.
That makes me think of something Lynn and I used to do when we were young, because like budgeting, right? Budgeting is like, oh, I have to do this, and it's a takeaway thing. It's like, I can't do this because, I'm at my limit or whatever. So without even really knowing this, what we were trying to say for real estate investing, right? So we didn't have to do a budget and say, don't spend money on this, because every time we saved an extra $100 or whatever it was and got us closer to that next property, that was the reward.
Yeah.
So saying no to expenditures and thinking, well, if I do this, then I'm not going to pad my account, was almost like a punishment. And so the budget became easy because it was linked to something completely different. So people don't like to budget, and it's hard, and you're trying to track everything or whatever. But if you label it differently and just look at it like this gamification, because there's a reward by doing this, and you focus on the reward instead of the can't do's, it makes it easy and it makes it
You
exciting.
get so high when we'd be able to buy another property.
Yeah.
We get excitement just driving and looking at properties. I mean, that was our drug.
Yeah, it's like the coke addict.
They're everywhere. There's an example in the like almost exactly that, but it's just like okay, instead of the $5 coffee, you're gonna create an account, you're going to call it the, like, whatever you want, the new jacket or the trip to Hawaii, and you're putting money in it, and that's exciting. you
Oh my
know?
gosh, and that could grow really fast for people to go to
Yeah.
Starbucks every day,
Oh, yeah.
like
Sure.
literally.
Yeah, and it's focused on something else. Yeah, that's exactly right. Make it easy. So this kind of goes into the last one, but human behavior follows the law of least effort. We naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. When that autofill option came available on the phones, like that, people fill out applications, people like do stuff so much faster and are more likely to complete it now. It's so crazy that like, oh, just typing in my address would like cause people to like quit, but it does. So create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible. Reduce friction associated with good behaviors and increase friction associated with bad behaviors. Some people will sleep in their gym clothes. So that when they wake up in the morning, that's one less thing they have to do. Just, you're already in your gym clothes, let's go. You know? I just said, you know, that I didn't, I caught myself. One of the last ones here, make it satisfying. The human brain prioritizes immediate rewards over delayed rewards. So example, you don't eat enough veggies. Butter that veggie, grill it, put on the salt and pepper, do it up. Like eating veggies is better than not. You know, for a habit to stick, you need to feel immediately successful, even in a small way. So treat yourself. Celebrate the small wins and the intrinsic rewards will kick in later. There's a lot, I'll just skip to that because I know we're at the end here. If you're having trouble starting anything, sometimes it's the 2-minute rule. Boil it down to the simplest version possible. Let's say you want to read more. Put the book on your pillow after you wake up in the morning. So when you go to bed at night, it's right there. And your goal is just to read 1 page. Anyone can read. You can take 2 minutes and read 1 page. You know,
It's like taking your medicine at night before going to bed.
yeah,
Well, how do you remember to do that? Put it in a little container, you gotta remember in the morning, when you get up, you make it in the bed, if you have that, make the bed. Put the container of pills under the pillow, so when you go to get ready for bed at night, there's pills, now it's ready to go. So you're just creating that habit of something that's gonna remind you, that's what Katie does for pills.
this stuff is so simple and none of this stuff is new, right? It's so simple, but just do it. Start with one thing, make it a goal, do it. Make it a habit.
Well, one of the things that this book talks about is your systems, it's not your habit.
Yeah.
It's the level of your system you actually fall back to. So if you're having a problem with making habits because you don't have a system that is moving you forward.
Right. It's not motivation. Motivation might start you there, but that's not going to carry you through. You have to have that system in place. Absolutely.
I got one other comment on there. I had a coach that told us about something he had taught someone else. They wanted to get in better shape and just wasn't doing it. And he's like, okay, we're gonna scale this down. Every morning, pick up a pen on your nightstand and drop it. And then pick it up. That's it. That's all you have to do every morning. And he came back after a week. He's like, okay, I've done it. What good is this doing? Like, well, keep doing it because eventually you're gonna get to the point where this is ridiculous and you might as well do a push-up while you're down there.
It's
something.
Yeah.
Before he was doing nothing.
Yeah.
See?
Start somewhere. Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for all the comments. Really good discussion. Again, I have 4, but I will send it directly to you. Whatever, we'll get you this book. So I'm with Wells Fargo. I've done this for 15 years. I love what I do. I love helping people. I know you have your preferred lender. I'm not here to step on any toes, but if you have people that are getting a jumbo loan, so purchase price is at least 762, have them talk to me just to get a second opinion. This might be the difference between someone getting off the fence and doing it. Our rates are so good on jumbo loans. So this is loan amounts over 647. I don't know on my phone, so that's one.
That's great. You can lock in the interest rate for billing On day one.
on day one, and that has saved so many people this year.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. I have someone, they're building in Park City, they're at 2.875, they locked in for 2 years. So on jumbo loans, we can lock in for 2 years.
Wow.
And if there's,
Yeah.
and if there's delays
Mhm.
and the lock is gonna expire, we extend that lock for free, 30 days at a time.
Wow.
And it's not because we're great, it's because there's a lawsuit out there. And so we cannot charge lock extension fees, which is awesome.
Great.
Yeah, people looking out of state. Investment properties, second homes, we do really well with.
Is that, you can't charge block extension fees just for it?
Yeah, just goes.
Really?
Yeah, there was a lawsuit.
What a
some
great
runoff.
marketing employee, nice.
They're not supposed to, I'm not supposed to advertise, but it works in clients' favor, and it's not to game the system, right? If it's like if it's an 8-month bill, then we lock it in for 4 months, that's a problem. Like we find out, like, and usually builders will give a range, it's just gonna take 7 to 9 months.
Mhm.
You know, we lock it within that range, and we extend that for free. If it's not running time, so we've had some that have gone like 5 months past, and we've extended it every time, like people can't believe it, but.
Yeah.
There's a lawsuit out there, and we have to honor our commitments,
The
so.
lawsuit on Wells Fargo?
Yeah, so some people in California, they deemed were charging lock extension fees when it was, the delays was the bank's fault.
Oh,
And so as a result of the lawsuit, we cannot charge lock extension fees.
that's-
But I ran a scenario this morning, jumbo loans were at 5.5% on a 30-year fixed rate today, where the going rate is 6.5 plus, we're at 5.5.
Nice.
And then we have relationship pricing, so for every 250,000 that people have with the bank or move over to the bank, we give them 1/8% rate discount. Up to 0.5% rate discount, so if someone has $1 million, you know, just sitting there, they could get 5.0 today,
Wow.
so. That's me.
I like
Super cool.
Thank you.
What is the last one says investment properties? Do you have any products that are like less than 20% down for investors?
15% down, but that rate is horrific. You got more
To
to
get
get.
the 50% versus.
Yeah, 15% down. On those 25% down gets you really good pricing. I priced one out the other day. We're at 7.125 on an investment property. Like. It's not that much higher than the primary residence on the conforming side, so. Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And I know you're here locally, Dan, but can you help people in other states?
I'm licensed in all 50 states. Yeah, I'm sorry, I've been ignoring all you people if you're still there.
We've got
Seriously.
Washington, Alaska, and California right now.
Oregon. We just closed in Arizona.
Nice. Pedro's in Oregon.
Yeah.
Looks like everybody else is local. Cool. You guys on Zoom have any questions or comments as we wrap up here? Somebody acknowledge that you're still with us. That'll make me happy.
Yes.
I heard something. Nice. All right. Love you guys. We're gonna kind of break and we're gonna stick around here in Draper and have lunch and visit some more and do a little networking. But hopefully you can make it in person next time. And thanks for coming. Love you guys. Reach out if I can do anything to help you. See ya.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I still have a copy.
Yes.
I totally, because I have